can see a whole bunch of the different numeric functions that are available in MySQL. I'm not going to give examples of every single one of them, but as you can see, we can get an absolute number or an absolute value for a variable. There's all the different trigonometric functions. You can get average, like I just showed, ceiling, which is going to return the smallest number, not less than whatever it's passed to. You're going to see count, like we've seen multiple different times. You also have the option to get degrees. Going to be able to use exponents. You're going to get floor, which is going to return the largest number not greater than the value passed to it. The logarithm function, max min, modulus, which is going to return the remainder of a division. You can get the value of pi. You're going to be able to make calculations based off of power, radians. You're going to be able to get random numbers. You're going to be able to round. You're going to get square root. You're going to have standard deviation, sum like we saw before, and you're going to be able to truncate. So you can play around with those different mathematical functions on your own. And let's go in here and just do a couple other different things. Let's take a look at absences. Everybody that has an absence from our classes, and there they are. Let's say that I wanted to come in here and have a student that missed a test go in and retake that test and get a score. So we're going to look in the scores table here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go select, and I'm going to get student ID and a test ID just to show me what's going on here from scores. And I'm going to look up the specific student ID that is equal to 6. Because student ID right here missed that test, so I want that student to take that test. You can see them right here, and you can see they missed test number 3. Now I go and I give them test number 3, and they go and take it, and they get a result. Now I'm going to go in here and actually change the values for that, and to do so I'm just going to type in 6, which is their ID, 3, which is the test ID, and 24, which is going to be their score. And I can come in here, and I'll now see that they actually took that test. Well, now what I'm going to want to do, because the absence is still going to show up there, is go in and remove that. So if I want to remove data from my table, I just go delete from, and the absences, where, and then my condition, student ID is equal to 6. And there you can see, select everything from absences, and there you can see it's gone. Now let's say that since we're looking at absences here, we might, and let's look at it close. Let's say that we would like to have true or false inside of here in regards to whether they took the test or not. So let's say we wanted to keep track of all absences and just wanted to put true or false if they took the test or needed to take the test or whatever inside of here. Well, we're going to use alter again, and table, absences. We want to add a column. Let's call it test taken, and it's only ever going to have either a true or false inside of here, a character, and let's just put not null, give it a default value of F, and let's say that we want it to come after the student ID. And like I said, you could put before in there as well. And it would be useful to be able to spell absences right. So instead of absences, absences. And there you can say that's changed. And describe is going to show the test taken's in there. Well, now what if we, in using some logic, we realize, well, it's only ever going to have a value of true or false, so this should actually be a enumerated type. So let's go in there and let's fix that. And once again, to change the data type for our table, we're going to go alter table, absences, modify, column, and test taken is the guy we want to change. And we want to change it to an enumerated type that's only ever going to have a value of true or a value of false. And it's going to be not null again, and it's going to have a default value of F that they did not take it. And there you can see that's fixed. And then let's say that we come in here and we say, you know what, let's not have that at all. As you can probably tell, I'm just messing around here. And we decide that we don't even want test taken in there. We can go alter table, absences, and drop column is going to allow us to delete a column, and test taken will be deleted, and there you can see it has been. Now I'm going to go in and show all of my scores where the student ID is equal to 4. Now let's say I want to update a score. Maybe a score was entered incorrectly. So we would go update scores, and I'm going to set the score equal to 25, where, and the condition here is going to be the student ID is equal to 4, and the test ID is equal to 3. And then if we pull that back up again, you're going to see that that's been changed. Another thing that's useful is a command called between, and what between is going to allow us to do is find matches between a minimum and maximum. So let's say we wanted to find the first, last name, and birth date for any student that was born between 1960 and 1970. There is between, and there you can see that's exactly what it did for us. Another useful command is to be able to go in here and find matches based off of a list. So, and one way to do that is to use the command in. So what we're going to say is we want first and last names in which the first name is in our list. So either Bobby, Lucy, or Andy, and it grabbed it for us there. And in is a great way to narrow results based off of a predefined list of possible options. And this brings us to actually joining data together. Now, if you want to combine data from multiple different tables, you can perform what is called a join. And a join works by matching up common data like I'm going to show you right now. So let's say that I wanted to get the student ID, date, score, and max score on a test. Well, this data all comes from two different tables. So if I want to join two different tables, I'm going to say from both tests and scores, don't put that comma there, where date, so I'm going to get all of the student IDs, data, scores, and max scores for the date of 2014, 25th. Then what I'm going to have to do is decide on how these two tables are going to join together. Well, as we can see right here with our different tables that we created, we have our tests table right here and our scores table right here. Well, we're going to have to find something that is like, that they both have so that we can join them together. I actually had to come in here and correct this. The two things that they both have, being test and score, is test ID. So we're going to join these two tables together by pointing out those two things that are equal. And to do so, we're going to go and test ID is equal to scores test ID. And there you can see we got exactly what we wanted. So you can see it's quite easy to join two different tables in this situation. All we need to do is find like data like we did right there. Now whenever you're joining these different tables together and different table data, it's often going to be advantageous to precede each of the pieces of data you want with the table's name, so you're not going to get confused. So we're going to go scores, student ID, tests, date, scores, the score, tests, max score, and then we're going to say the two different tables we want to join, the condition, and then and test ID is equal to scores dot test ID. And there you can see the same data. So how exactly would we go in and join three tables, for example? Let's do a big giant thing. Let's go select concat and students first name and students last name as name. Let's get test date, scores, the score. Say we want to get the max score as well, and let's say we want to pull this data from three different tables, which is going to be from tests, scores, and the students tables. And we want data in the situation where the date is going to be equal to 2014, and then we're going to have to just use multiple different conditions, and we're going to have to match up like data between the different tables. So test ID is going to be in the tests table, and it's also going to be in the scores table. And then we have to match up the last one, which is scores, student ID is equal to students, student ID. And there you can see all that information. Now let's go through a couple other different commands. Let's say if we wanted to come in here and list the number of absences per student. Well, we're going to put in our student ID, we're going to put in the first and last name, and then we're going to count the number of absences from the absences table. We would then want to group by that specific piece of data that we're going to want to get, otherwise we're just going to get one result. And in this situation, you're going to see a quick way to get the total number of absences with each student name. Another way to do a join, if we want to make sure that we include all information from the table listed on the left side of the screen, even if it doesn't exist in the table that we're combining it with, is to use what is called a left join. So let's go select first and last name, and then let's say that we want to count the total number of absences. Once again, we're going to be using this because we want to list the students that have absences and the students that do not have absences. That's why we're going to use a left join. And to use it, you're going to say from students. You want to make sure you list all the students' names, whether they have absences or not, and the other table you want to join to. And then you're going to put in your condition, or the two things that are the same between these tables. So we're going to say the student IDs are equal, and then finally we're going to group these by the student IDs. And there you can see we're listing the absences even if they are 0, and that is all occurring because of the left join that we just did. And the final join we're going to cover here are what are called inner joins. And an inner join just gets all the rows of data from both of the tables and puts those together. So let's just do something quick. Student's first name, student's last name, test ID, score, and we're going to use the students table and do a complete join between the students and the scores table with an inner join. And then your two things that these tables have in common are going to be defined, which is going to be the student ID is equal to the scores student ID. And the condition in this situation is we want to list all the scores that are less than or equal to 15. And let's say we want to also order them by scores test ID. And there you go. Every single score. And this is basically just going to give us all of our quiz data for every single quiz that was taken by every single student. Okay guys, so that's a lot of information on MySQL. Please leave a comment if you watched the whole thing. I'd be excited to see that. So please leave your questions and comments below. Otherwise, till next time.